But for now, let's begin on the ground. You're seeing the White House there. More than 100 million students in these United States face this reality, the potential and complete overhaul of the Department of Education. Sources confirming to CBS News President Donald Trump will sign an executive order to dismantle that department. It appears not a question of if, but rather a question of when. Not today, according to the people we're talking to at the White House. But, you know, part of the work of the Department of Education helps 26 million children who live in poverty, 7.5 million students with disabilities. The department also helps 10 million students who rely on financial aid to attend college and pursue a trade. The Department of Education gives billions to fund high-poverty K-12 schools, $15.5 billion to help cover education for children with disabilities, and $1.6 trillion for federal student loan programs. Now, here's the blowback. Randy Weingarten leads the American Federation of Teachers, calling for the Trump administration not to, quote, attack the children living in poverty and the children with disabilities to pay for vouchers and tax cuts for billionaires, close quote. Now, keep in mind, eliminating the Department of Education has to happen in Congress. So we went to Congress. We asked the House Speaker about the headline.
Speaker Johnson, do you have any concerns about an EO abolishing the Department of Education?
I haven't had a chance to review it yet, but I'll tell you that the more we push control of education down to parents and local school boards and authorities, the better off we are. And I think it's important innovation.
So let's go live to Washington and CBS News Chief White House correspondent Nancy Cordes. Nancy, good to see you. So the executive order yet to come, it speaks to presidential power, right? But we know Congress has to be on board. Is that order we expect from the president seen to be marching orders for Congress?
It's marching orders for his new Secretary of Education, Linda McMahon Reed, and he is going to order her, according to our sources, to do whatever she can to dismantle the agency without actually getting rid of it altogether, because, as you point out, that would take an act of Congress. But as we've seen with USAID, for example, there's a lot the Trump administration can try to do to dramatically downsize these agencies without Congress being involved, and then sort of letting the chips fall where they may legally if and when they've overstepped their bounds. When it comes to the Department of Education, it's a little unclear exactly how the Trump administration would achieve this, because, as you pointed out, the lion's share of the Department of Education budget goes to a few big programs that are broadly popular. They send a lot of money to schools in low-income areas to sort of help them level the playing field. They send a lot of money to school districts so that kids with disability, who are more expensive sometimes to educate, can get a quality education. They distribute Pell Grants. So what we're trying to understand is whether the president is looking to eliminate or downsize these grant programs, or is he just saying we want to send those grants to some other department, maybe have Health and Human Services administer those grants instead so that we can downsize the Department of Education? And if that's the case, what would you really be gaining from reconfiguring things that way?
Right, and who would be in control in those other departments if it shifts? And I'm remembering what Linda McMahon said in her confirmation hearings, you know, the mandate from President Trump to work herself out of a job. So with all of the procedural roadblocks that we can potentially see, with all of the just the blowbacks by way of the social conversation, the narrative, how likely are we to see this happening?
Well, there's a misconception out there right now, and you heard it to some degree from the House Speaker in the clip that you played, that somehow the Department of Education is dictating educational standards to state and local school districts, and that if only the DOE were to be out of the way, that all that power would revert to the states. The Department of Education does not do that. It doesn't impose any educational standards on states, on local school districts. It, for the most part, either hands out money or it funds research at a national level so that, schools in states can be informed of best practices and what works and what hasn't. We know that DOGE has already gone into DOE and cut a lot of the funding for those research programs. So that research is no longer being funded. The question is, now, do they really want to go ahead and cut funding for schools in low-income areas? That's something that you'd probably get a lot of pushback from governors in a lot of states if they tried to do that. So exactly what they're going to set out to do, how they would accomplish it, what it would mean for students, is still very unclear.
So for viewers who may be tuning in and seeing that headline there on the screen, we had word today that that executive order could happen today. Now we're understanding there might be a little bit of a pause. That does not mean it's not going to happen.
Right.
So we'll put that aside right now.
Right.
But I want to pivot to this. The Trump administration getting a big win with an appeals court allowing the firing of a whistleblower, the agency head who blew the whistle. What can you tell us about that?
Right. Right. So his name is Hampton Dellinger. He is the U.S. Special Counsel. He basically has a very specific role within the federal government to protect whistleblowers, to protect federal workers when they come forward to report waste, fraud, and abuse, and to look out for federal workers and their rights more generally. Well, he himself was fired in February by the Trump administration, and he pushed back. He said, you don't actually have the legal right to fire me just because you don't like what I'm doing. You have to fire me for very specific reasons, like if I'm not performing properly. And so it went to court, and a federal judge sided with him. But now, today, an appeals court has said, no, actually, the Trump administration does have the right to remove him. So this is probably going to go to the Supreme Court. This is probably not the last legal step in this case. So the fight continues, and it's just a little microcosm of the larger fight that we're seeing play out throughout the legal system when it comes to the firings that the Trump administration is doing and the legal basis that it has for carrying them out.
CBS News Chief White House correspondent Nancy Cordes, always breaking it down, making it simple, and making me smarter. Always good to talk to you. Thank you so much.